Is there a Fabringen tonight?
Yeah, here now.
So I tell you the truth, until a short while ago, I did not know we were going to have wasn't sure there was going to be a shir because I thought maybe we should have a Fabringen. But
We have Fabringen.
I said, the interesting today was Chav Cheshvan, the Yom Holedis of the Rebbe Rashab, the 5th Lubavitch Rebbe, the Zayda of the Lubavitch Rebbe's Rebbetzin. The Rebbe Rashab. They married cousins. The Rebbe and his Rebbetzin both named were Schneerson. They married cousins. He's related also to the Rebbe, but the Rebbetzin, this was her Zayda Rebbe Rashab.
The Rayat's father.
The Rayat's father, the sixth of his father. The previous Rebbe's father. He was a very big Rebbe in Lubavitch, the city of Lubavitch. Now, the Rebbe there was, in this week's Parsha, we read about Chevron.
He wanted the older brother to be Rebbe.
So they were reading about Chevron, how we bought the Maaloh Machpelah. It's actually from the, few things where the Goyim can have a taina. They belong to us. The clearly says that Avraham Avinu bought
but they say they also come from Avraham Avinu.
But they have to believe
at that same time.
They have to believe in the
Torah.
But they have to believe in the Torah.
They do.
Yeah, as far as that's
coming to Maaloh Machpelah, they believe.
That was that's
most guys around the world believe in the Torah. Now,
they believe in the Bible.
So there is an interesting letter of the Rebbe Rashab from about the Maaloh of the city of Chevron over Yerushalayim. Now the background of this letter was an interesting background. There was in the times of there was a Baal Shem Tov and the Chassidic movement, and then there came the Mezritcher Maggid. After the Mezritcher Maggid passed away, a few years later, there were a few hundred Chassidim that made an Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. We also know the Gra, the Vilna Gaon, also his Talmidim, similar point, made also an Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, and they formed different Yeshuvim settlements in Eretz Yisrael. So these Chassidim moved to Eretz Yisrael, and there was created a koilel to support them. A koilel meaning like a fund to support them in Eretz Yisrael. It was hard living in Eretz Yisrael. Eventually, that was a koilel for all Chassidus. But eventually, Chabad made their own koilel, and it was called Koilel Chabad. That was formed by the Baal Tanya. And till this very day, people know there's Koilel Chabad. You see the pushkas all around. Koilel Chabad, it's a very old push. It's a very old tzedakah starting from the Yisias of the Baal Tanya. Now, the Koilel, at a certain point, there was a dispute. There was some dispute that erupted about the Koilel. What happened was the grandson of the Baal Tanya, the Tzemach Tzedek, a big guy in his own right, the Tzemach Tzedek, when he was nistalik, so a lot of his children became Rebbes. They all became Rebbes in their own right. But the Koilel continued to be a joint effort for Koilel Chabad to support all those. They were Chabad. They weren't all Chabad Lubavitch. They were Chabad Kapost, depending which city the children moved to. So there was Chabad Kapost, there was Chabad Liadi, Chabad Babroisk, Chabad Avruch. There was different places, there were different children that Tzemach Tzedek lived. The Rebbe Marash, the father, the Rebbe Rashab, the Baal Yemeledis, he stayed in Lubavitch, as per the instructions of the Tzavah, the will of his father. So he was a direct Yerush. He stayed in his father's Beis Medrash and everything in Lubavitch. So that's why he would call Chabad Lubavitch. That's where the name Chabad Lubavitch came from. Because the others moved to different cities, they didn't keep the name Lubavitch anymore. It was still Chabad. It was Chabad. They were all Talmidim. They were all children, and they were great grandchildren of the Baal Tanya. But it wasn't Chabad Lubavitch. So Lamaisa, but as time went on, there became some disputes when it came to the funds of this Koilel Chabad, how they were supposed to be distributed. And one of the big disputes was the Koilel was in Yerushalayim, and the Rebbe Rashab felt he was a grandson of Tzemach Tzedek. He wanted the koil should move to Chevron. And however, his cousin, his first cousin, the Babreisker, wanted it to stay in Yerushalayim. He didn't want it to go to Chevron. And so they had a dispute between each other. Where is the best place for the koil Chabad should be? Where should be the Iker Yishuv, the settlement? Should it be in Chevron or should it be in Yerushalayim? So we have here, we're going to start off, we're going to take a little bit, this is a very long subject, and it's a big pilpul over here, but we're going to look around a little bit, tidbits, and I thought that, it was last minute, and I thought it would be something interesting for both, because tonight, the one who wrote the Kuntris was the Rebbe Rashab, his 19 Miledis, and also because of Chevron, this week's Parsha, so the Maaloh Chevron, because the Rebbe Rashab was the one who was pushing for everyone to move over to Chevron. We'll see the reasons why. We'll start off actually.
What year was it? What are you talking
This
about?
we're talking about in the early, let's say 19. We're talking about 1907, 1906. This story. Now, over here we have a kuntras published, a small kuntras published by Chak Admar Marina Shvahaniyo Noyech Babreisk. This is a grandson of Tzemach Tzedek, known as the Babreisk Rebbe. He was the first cousin with the Rebbe Rashab, but they were running their own Chassidusin, and they were at different odds with each other. With the different, each one took a little bit of a different twist with Chabad, their own Yanim. But Lamaisa, he's going to write over here how he feels the koil has to stay in Yerushalayim. How Yerushalayim is the most Mekudesh, the holiest place, holier than Chevron. We'll see how the Rebbe Rashab responds. A very, very long letter. A very long letter. Pilpul explaining why it should go to Chevron. Hakol, let's take a look. We'll look around a little bit. I will look at this letter. It's interesting. Hakol Yoidim Mailas Kedushas Yerushalayim Hakol Eretz Yisrael. Everyone knows the Maaloh of Yerushalayim over the rest of Eretz Yisrael. We see clearly in the Mishnah in Kalim. It said Asara Kedusha, saying there are 10 levels of Kedusha, and Lefnim Minachoimis, within the walls of Yerushalayim, a Kodesh Mem is even holier than the rest of Eretz Yisrael. We see B'Gemar of Basra Asara Dvarnam Yerushalayim. There are 10 wonderful things said about Yerushalayim. In the Mishnah, he's bringing from all different places about why Yerushalayim is the Iker.
It says Baba Kama. Is it really supposed to be Baba Basra?
Baba Kama.
Oh, I thought maybe it's...
The Mishnah, Seif Ksubis, we're going to talk about this a lot later. It says, Hakoil Mail Mishalayim. Everyone goes up to Yerushalayim, Ve'in Hakoil Matzim Mishalayim. You don't go out of Yerushalayim. You go up, you don't leave. We'll see later, the Gemara over there says that if in marriage, if the husband wants to go to Eretz Yisrael, and his wife doesn't want to come, he's not mechuyev to give her a ksuba. Might or get with a ksuba. The same thing, the opposite. If she wants to go to Eretz Yisrael and he doesn't want, she can. He has to give her a ksuba, a get, and give her a ksuba. She wants to go. It's nothing wrong. She wants to go to Eretz Yisrael. It's a big inyan going to Eretz Yisrael. So she's not doing something wrong, and she deserves her ksuba. You can't say, you want to leave and go to Eretz Yisrael. No. And within Eretz Yisrael itself, Yerushalayim is the next step. Going to Yerushalayim. Hakoil Mailon Mishalayim, Ve'inakom Etzim Yerushalayim.
It's funny, my father, Alav Shalom,
Yeah.
was 87, he passed away. Was living from 1951, probably about 40 years. Never left Yerushalayim.
Wow.
Even we have weddings. My sister wanted to get married in Tel Aviv. She said, no, you want to marry here, I come marry.
But Yerushalayim not supposed to abuse it.
He did not leave Yerushalayim. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Special Jews.
That's exactly what you're saying here.
V'huva halacha b'Rambam. This is brought by halacha and Rambam. It's not just a Gemara. It's brought in halacha and the Rambam in the Torah Shulchan Aruch. Ibn Ezra Siman Ayin Hey. V'davad zeh noyeg gam b'zman hazel. Das kol ha'poskim. Everyone agrees that even today, if no Beis Hamikdash, it's still applicable. V'gam Rambam. There's a famous machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramban whether or not there is a mitzvah in our Torah, the Taryag mitzvahs of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. No. Is there a mitzvah that you have to go to live in Eretz Yisrael? According to the Rambam, does not count such a mitzvah. Now the Ramban does count such a mitzvah.
What's mitzvah Arba Amot? Every fourth step you go in Israel, you have a mitzvah.
Not that there's different. When we mean mitzvah over here, I mean from the to the 630 mitzvahs. We use the term mitzvah like this is a mitzvah, it's a mitzvah, but actual min haTorah 630 mitzvahs. Yeah, you gain mitzvahs going to Israel, but you have a chiyuv. You have a chiyuv in it. It says Gama Rambam loimana mitzvah say yeshivas Eretz Yisrael zman hazman. Even the Rambam, well, he did not count living Eretz Yisrael as a mitzvah say. Kamoi shechash and Ramban like the Ramban did. Mikol makim still the Rambam would agree. Moide b'yeses se'eis b'kedushasa. He for sure would agree that the kedusha of Yerushalayim of Eretz Yisrael, I'm sorry, of Eretz Yisrael, is holier than all the other lands. K'mayim Razal, like Chazal say, kedushasa nafik sheshemin. Even when Eretz Yisrael is in destruction, it's still holy.
The kedusha is there.
Kedusha is there. Or b'yoyisa b'kedusha Yerushalayim, and within Eretz Yisrael itself, kedusha Yerushalayim is even greater. Even the Rambam holds not a mitzvah to go there to Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Doesn't mean it's not holy, and Yerushalayim is not holier. Ki mitziyin teitzei soira. From out of Tzion, out of Zion comes Torah. Dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. The Dvar Hashem comes from Yerushalayim. Shebazeh toli gamat akviyas kol hachadashim v'yibrashanim akviyas kol hamoedim l'divrei Rambam. The Rambam holds that all our calculations of how we decide Kiddush HaChodesh and the Maaloh Halavana and the birth and the moon all depend on Yerushalayim. K'mavor kol zeh b'tshuvas Cham Sofer. It's explained in the Tshuvas Cham Sofer. U'meroyev Kedushasa Yerushalayim b'chalal mikdashu. Because of its such great Kedusha, Yerushalayim has even the status of being like the Beis HaMikdash in certain aspects. Nechalim ba Kedushim Kalim. You're allowed to eat karbanis, which are termed as Kedushim Kalim, lighter level karbanis. We eat in the morning, Kedushim Kalim and karbanis. On Ma'aseh Sheni, you can eat them in Yerushalayim, throughout Yerushalayim. Over Nusach HaTefillin we daven, we say Yerushalayim, Beis Mikdash Chab, is going to bring us to Yerushalayim. Kamei shekdushasa g'dayli yesem hat Yisrael. Kamei kimitz binyano kaidem. When it comes to rebuilding Eretz, not only is it holier Yerushalayim, Eretz Yisrael. When it comes to rebuilding a city in Eretz Yisrael, the first city you have to rebuild is Yerushalayim. This is all pashut, but where he's bringing it out clear, bringing it out because they had a disagreement. He's bringing it out clear, and he quotes some other svarim. Let's take a look in Beis. Aliyah Rishayna, over here, the paragraph starts with Beis. He now goes a little bit in the history. Now that he brought from Chazal, he says the first Aliyah that went to Eretz Yisrael, Shahayim did say in a Raisen that came from our country. It's called Raisen. La'eretz HaKodesh. There were two of the big Talmidim of the Mezritcher Magid who led the Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. Was a Mendel Vitebsker, like it says, from the city of Vitebsk, and Rabbi Avraham Mikalisk from the city of Avraham Kalisker. These two tzaddikim led the Hasidim at that point, a large group of Hasidim to Eretz Yisrael.
About approximately what year did the guy should die? Let's say, was it 1800 already or before?
240 years ago.
240
years ago.
Oh. But when was the Baal Shem Tov nifted? When was the Baal Shem Tov? When was he nifted? 1700 still? Before 1800? I don't know.
Baal Shem Tov was nifter. To Tav Kuf Ches. What year is that?
1740. Like Tav Kuf
Ches.
Is 5.
It's 270 years ago around.
Wait, what's Tav Kuf? What Ches?
Tav Kuf Ches.
So that's 508. 508 plus 1240 is 1748. The guy should die.
So that's 1748. So around, take another 30 years later, 1778 is when they made this Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. So after the Baal Shem Tov nostalgic, after the Mezritcher Magid was nostalgic. The Alter Rebbe himself, the Balatani, wanted to go on that trip. He went along, but on the way, Mendel Vitebsker told him to please stay, because if you're going to leave, there's not going to be anyone to lead the flock. So please stay in Russia, stay here, because you're going to all the big guns, like we say, going to Eretz Yisrael, who was left. So the Baal stayed. Now, Rabbeinu Azakin, the Alter Rebbe, Kaira Oisim and Vichtava, Rabbi Seinu Eretz Yisrael, refers to these two as Rabbi Seinu, our Rebbe's in Eretz Yisrael. It's known that after Mezritcha Magam was a Stalik, the Alter Rebbe accepted upon himself Reb Mendel Vitebsker was from the older Talmidim. The younger Talmidim of the Magid accepted upon themselves as their Rebbes the older students of the Magid. There was no one Yerush like it was after Baal Shem. There was just the Magid mainly, although there was Pinchas Karetz, there was Yaakov Yosef, there was a little bit, but the Magid was the main one. But after the Magid, all the Chassidim split up. The Alter Rebbe took on him, Reb Mendel Vitebsker was his Rebbe. Now, Hey Misyashvu Tveria. They lived in Tveria, settled in Tveria. In the note, he says, in the brackets here, that in the beginning they went to Tzfas. But after a number of years, they went to live in Tveria. After the brackets, then was founded the Kupa, which is known today as Koilel Chabad, which is a Kupa Rameir Bal Hanes Tzedakah. Rabbeinu Zakin Kasav Talmid Michtav, and the Alter Rebbe wrote many letters to awaken up the hearts of people to give tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael, la'avas Eretz HaKodesh, or la'hagdol Maaloh tzidkas ha'meinanas. If anyone looks in the Igeres HaKodesh and Tanya, it's full of michtavim encouraging people to give tzedakah, and to especially give tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. Now, why did they move to Tveria and not Yerushalayim? So he says, Tamis Yashvusei B'Tveria move on Shalai Hayachali. He says Yishalach in Yerushalayim. They weren't able to live in Yerushalayim then. There wasn't a proper yishuv in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim. So that's why they went to Tveria. But by Emes, they would have gone to Yerushalayim. Don't learn out from the fact that they went to Tveria first, so that you don't have to dafka go to Yerushalayim. No, he holds you have to go to Yerushalayim. They weren't able to have a yishuv then. Could Isa be Igeres Rameir Balanes? Yerushalayim Yigdoila B'Kishasa Kach Yigdoila B'Chobani Yisa. Yerushalayim, even when it's destroyed, it has greater kedusha than the rest of the rest of the. I don't understand.
If it was nothing in Yerushalayim, why they didn't start? Why they have to go to Tveria? Go to Yerushalayim.
The car.
It wasn't different. And you'll see soon. Nimshach HaChurban Zman Rav Yosim Mekaret Yisrael. The Churban Yerushalayim lasted for even longer than the other cities. Other cities got rebuilt before Yerushalayim. There's a lot of sakanas lefashis going around in Yisrael those days. I don't know what the word ksarim means over here, but the yasis means these type of roving bands of robbers and.
They always have the knives.
Yeah. At Shematzu Derech Nes was a Derech Nes that they found themselves to Tveria, so they couldn't stand while they travel around Eretz Yisrael to go to Yerushalayim. So when did they start going to Yerushalayim? When did the settlement of our Koilel, of our Anash, start to move to Yerushalayim? He says in Vav, Tchilas Hayishim Koilel Shalom Yerushalayim, Hayim Ereinu Agoyin Achasab Elya Yosef Midriven. Was a big Goyin, a big Rav, who left Russia and went to Eretz Yisrael. He was a Talmud Muvak of the Alter Rebbe, and he also served the son of the Mittler Rebbe. It's also underneath him. He went much later. He wanted to go to Chevron, because at that point in time, that's where they were, in Chevron. But what happened was, the Bayal Eretz HaKodesh, this Akib Yerushalayim Eretz HaKodesh, he got stuck in Yerushalayim, because he wanted to go first to Yerushalayim, Shabbat Lahanis, Mikdushas, L'Spal Eretz HaKodesh, whatever to daven there. The Sakasham Kodesh, he was stuck there for a month. Then he started thinking to himself, I'm not allowed to leave. I came to Yerushalayim. Who gave me the heter to leave? V'al daiti uli also lots is mikdusha chamor kedusha shalayim kedusha kala. I'm leaving to kedusha kala, like you mentioned, right? V'kasav l'kvoit is adanim zikni. In the Alter Rebbe, he wrote to the Alter Rebbe asking what should he do. It was very hard for the Alter Rebbe to let him stay in Yerushalayim. Because our Yishuv, the settlement that needed help, was in Chevron. So what are you going to Yerushalayim for? That's why he dafka sent him there. They'll have someone to ask shilas to in Torah and get advice from. But after the Alter Rebbe looked into it, he was masking, you have to stay in Yerushalayim, you're not allowed to leave. It's usher. That's when our koilel started to grow in Yerushalayim. So says the Breisker, reality is Yerushalayim is the Iker. And the Alter Rebbe himself, our Zayda, said this. So why are you trying to move it to Chevron? Here we're finishing off the letter. It's a long letter. This is only shtiklach of the letter. David was a melech for 7 years in Chevron.
First, right.
Then he went 37 years to Yerushalayim. Moving Sheshama Yekola Kovach Hayrisha Yeshiva Kadesha David Hashalom. Haniski Bedrasha Chazal Bezdin of David. The Bezdin of David, the famous Bezdin of David, this Yeshiva of David, was in Chevron. V'yachakach Avlu Yerushalayim. And afterwards in Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim is the ultimate place, not Chevron. David wasn't there 7 years, but then you moved on to Yerushalayim. So why do we want to go back to Chevron? V'nishra klulam yichedes gamata betfila b'chas hamazon. We mentioned davening and benching and betfilos for Shoshana, Yerushalayim mircha, v'atzim mishkan kavdecha, v'amazda b'shalecha. It's always Yerushalayim. L'hamshich hayishi b'chazar l'chem Yerushalayim, to go and schlep the settlement back to Chevron. Zo neged halacha. It's against the halacha of Hakoil Maaloh Yerushalayim. The Gemara in Ksubis, the Mishnah in Ksubis. Everyone goes up to Yerushalayim and they'll come to Yerushalayim. You're not allowed to go out of Yerushalayim. Zulash yu neged halacha. Besides the fact it's against halacha, yesh v'zeh b'vadi chet of ruchni gadol. It's a very big spiritual sin. L'mayit b'Yerushalayim to make the yeshiva Yerushalayim smaller. V'livnes ezeim b'chavan Yerushalayim to make another city grow through destroying Yerushalayim. Every day we're davening by Yerushalayim. That's the Iker. So we have a very strong case made by the Breisker that this koilel should continue in Yerushalayim. Yes, originally it was in Tveria. He goes through the history, but eventually it started when it came Yerushalayim when the Ola Yosef, the Talmud of Alter Rebbe, came. And he came to Yerushalayim, and then he got stuck there, and that's where it became the settlement, became Yerushalayim. And why should we be making any changes over here? So here you have a very, very long letter. I only made copies of a few of the pages of his cousin, the Rebbe Rashab, responding back that he didn't respond directly, but they weren't right directly to each other. But responded back with his own contrast to explain how Imam doesn't feel. He feels we have to go to Chevron. It's interesting. It's interesting the argument that happened, just what it brought out. There's a lot of interesting Torah over here, discussions, and Befrat the Rebbe Rashab, it's a very, very long contrast. Even the Babreisker's contrast that we have over here is not the full version. You see, we skipped from Beis to Vav. There's some dots here. It's not the full version. It's not been really published. These are in libraries. Now,
most of the people don't even know this.
No. There's a lot more interesting details about the story. You should know one of the main people that was on the Babreisker side, the Babreisker Chassid, was named Reb Chaim Eliezer Bechovsky. He was a talented person. He was a big publisher, Sfarim. And now, all along, there was different groups of Hasidus and Kimuv, and there was different machlokes and disagreements, and those that went here didn't go to this Rebbe, and each one was aligned to their flag. Eventually, those Chassidim didn't continue. Their children, they were nifter and einiklach, and eventually everyone came back to Lubavitch. So there is no more anything else besides Rechabal Lubavitch. There was a certain tkufa, a certain period of time when this happened. 50 years or so, when there were children at Tzemach Tzedek and grandchildren that had their own how we call Rebistava, their own chutzner. And interesting was the Rebbe had the Lubavitch Publishing House reprint manuscripts of this Reb Chaim Eliezer Bechovsky, who was a Babreisker Chassid, was very involved in this machlekes about the koilel. He was pushing very much for the Babreisker side, and he was always considered like off limits when it came to Lubavitcher Chassidim. When the Rebbe turned everything over, the Rebbe went and published all the manuscripts of that this Reb Chaim Eliezer Bechovsky wrote. He published it.
For the side of Yerushalayim.
No, it wasn't about this argument anyways. It was Bechlal, manuscripts in Torah, different things. Personal things that he wrote. Torah is Torah, and there wasn't any, he wasn't on our side.
He was Chabad, yeah.
No, the Rebbe one time said that, when the Alter Rebbe was in Stalik, the Mitzvah Rebbe became the Rebbe. But really, there was also the Alter Rebbe's Talmud also became Rebbe. Reb Aaron Shashela, and there were some big Chassidim that went to Reb Aaron Shashela. He wasn't a blood relative, but he was a Talmud Muvak of the Alter Rebbe. So, the Rebbe one time said there was a very big dispute there, and the Mitzvah Rebbe was very makbid of those Chassidim that left and went to Shashela. Eventually, a lot of them came back. Later on, they came back to the Alter Rebbe, to the Mitzvah Rebbe. But one time the Rebbe said, he joked, he said, if I wouldn't be afraid of my Chassidim, I would publish the Shashela Chassidus also. The Rebbe was very open. It was Torah, it's Torah, and that's it.
Yeah.
Especially when we're dealing with already time periods went by already. There's already Alta Machlekes, so there's no Inyan to be mamshach these in the other. Now, the Rebbe Rashab is very strong over here. So first he goes on, before he gets straight into halacha, he discusses a little bit in general. He says, Michtavim, their letter, Tziruf HaKundus Rishvei, sent me with the kuntras of Ben Doidi, my cousin, Yo Noyach, the Babreisker. Achakach Chidush Torah Mititeitze. This is the middle of the letter. We're going straight to the Torah part. He's writing Chidushei Torah, new Chidushim. Mashachipis and Matzah. He figured out that Esser Kedushas Yerushalayim Mekudeshim B'Karet Yisrael, that Yerushalayim is holier than the rest of Eretz Yisrael. V'nusach Hatfilah Matzah Kasov Yerushalayim Mircha Gamanuchas V'Rechsam Mazanem Yerushalayim Mircha. Humagal doesn't mean he's revealing us to his very deep secrets. The Varan Nifloim Shemayitin is like as if we never heard this. I mean, we know, everyone knows this. Ma'maitik Miseifer LeSeifer D'Rechsam Soifer. He brings from Rechsam Soifer the Kedush Yerushalayim. He doesn't know that. We all know that. Every Yid loves Eretz Yisrael and Yerushalayim. Everyone is in mourns for the fact of the destruction of Yerushalayim. Now here that goes on the Rebbe Rashab to say that Yerushalayim in Chevron was much better than Yerushalayim. At that point there was a lot of modern elements, a lot of secularism in Yerushalayim. And therefore the Rebbe Rashab felt that in Chevron it's much more of a makam Torah and Kedusha, and there's no secular elements coming and Yerushalayim issues. It's pure.
It was smaller Chevron. That is why also.
It's probably, yeah.
Yerushalayim is big.
Yeah.
So that's why you're
more able to focus on Torah and Avodas Hashem. So he says over here, just because Yerushalayim itself is holy, God about to say even the schools, meaning not the yeshivas, but the schools that were made there, the secular schools, the bibliotekas and the libraries there. Do they also become holy? As great as Yerushalayim is, that's how great the Churban is. The Iker Churban is the Ruchnius. V'chol asher leivav ragesh lo yidav libim oidech shesivu b'alei afachim hechnisu b'kol dvar tumah rachman al-tzam abulti safik asher osid le'yiba arisanoir. It says in Yerushalayim, there's a lot of tumadik things going on over there. Where is a better place for Torah and Avoid in this time period? Yerushalayim and Chevron near a Kodesh. There's no problems in Chevron. Chevron is still okay. They don't have all these feeders and all these other places which are bringing away our youth from Yiddishkeit. The behavior in the Chevron is still the way it was in the early years. It's still good. So it wasn't tainted yet. Even the true Yerushalayim is holier. The Kedusha of the Mokim in Chevron is greater. The fact that there are people doing Averis in Yerushalayim actually makes the land tamei. That you came and you made impure the land. Meaning doing Averis in Eretz Yisrael can actually sort of like taints the Kedusha, impures the Kedusha of Yerushalayim. Huh? No, Knesset, yeah. I think it's still today that way. Chevron is still
Probably. I was thinking about that.
More of a special place.
Yeah,
There's no secular Jews.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, this letter, this is in 1906, 1907. So.
It's like 200 years ago.
No, 1907, 170. 107, yeah, 107 years ago. Yeah, you could still say today it's much more spiritual in
I
Chevron.
was thinking while you're reading,
But it's much more dangerous maybe in Chevron.
There's only a small area of Jews.
Who lives
Mostly
the only
are
Nachlam?
Yeah, very few people living in Chevron itself.
And how till there?
You know, they sing Chevron Avot.
Yeah. Now,
We have a shul over in Ferdus called Shalevim. One ago all the time.
after the baby. Yeah. And this said, let's talk a little bit outside. It's hard to go through everything. This is the Chasam Sofer, he says later on. This is the Chasam Sofer and others similar to Chasam Sofer wanted Dafka Yerushalayim, a Yishuv in Yerushalayim. For sure, Yerushalayim is holier, and the Kedusha of the Makim helps to learn Torah properly and to serve Hashem. But that's when it was Taka holy. But now, there's a problem over there. It's not a good matzav there. And he said like this: the Rebbes of Chabad were dafke bought places in Chevron. We know that Balatanya's son, the Mittel Rebbe, bought a shul, made a shul in Chevron. He never visited Eretz Yisrael, but he made sure to buy a shul in Chevron. Today, they have a shul. They remade the shul. The shul was going until the pogroms. But they redid the shul. It's a small shul, a small little shul. It's the shul called Admar Msai, the middle Rebbe, shul.
You have to have that.
They have a shul there, yeah. I saw the shul.
It's still functioning right now.
Yeah, it's still there, the shul. And he bought that. He chose Dafke Chevron. And as well, when the Tzemach Tzedek sent his sister and his brother-in-law Dafke to Chevron to live in Chevron. The famous Rebbe Menucha Rachel, she was a big Balas Moifis herself. She knew how to do mafsim.
Even now, when she's buried.
She's buried in Chevron. Rebbe Menucha Rachel is buried in Chevron. She's a daughter of the Mittel Rebbe, sister of the Tzemach Tzedek. She went there after the Mittel Rebbe was in Stalik. Dafke to Chevron. You're writing that's because there was no Yishuv in Yerushalayim and no other choice? He disagreed. He said no. There was always a Yishuv in Yerushalayim. And Remendel Vitebsker, that you quote, went to Tveria. He became a mechutim with a Sfardish Chacham. There was a Sfardish Chacham that lived in Yerushalayim, and he married off his son to his daughter. There were people in Chevron. There were people in Yerushalayim. However, he saw that this spot, Chevron is going to last out, and the Kedusha is going to stay there, so he felt he wanted to invest in Chevron dafke. So first of all, he says, there's no Isser at all. Based on this that I'm saying, it's better to learn. It's a better environment for learning. For Avodas Hashem and Chevron, we can go into halacha and say it's not an Isser to go out from Yerushalayim to Chevron. Why? Even Eretz Yisrael, you're allowed to leave the Chutz La'aretz for learning Torah. You're allowed to leave. If someone needs for business purposes, or for marrying, or for Torah, you're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael. So if you're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz for learning Torah, so you're allowed to leave Yerushalayim to Chevron for learning Torah. So if you're going to have better learning and a better atmosphere in Chevron, he says better to go to Chevron. You have a clear heter in halacha. Take a look on the bottom of the page. Kuf Samar Zayin. Top of the page says Kuf Samar Zayin. Mikol Hanal Muvan, from all above us on the store. Asher Ein Isser Chas V'Sholom Klal. Lot says Mishalayim L'Chevron B'Shvil Kavan Hanal, to have proper yishuv. You can even leave from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. For the Isa B'Gemara and the Rambam, Shulchan Aruch. V'kol shkim Eretz Yisrael go from Yerushalayim l'Chevron. For sure to go from Eretz Yisrael to Chevron.
But even to visit Yerushalayim and to leave, I mean, just to visit for a few hours Yerushalayim, and you don't have a place to live or something, is that forbidden? Or are they talking about?
No, settling there. He felt that as a neighborhood, better for people to live. The atmosphere was better in Chevron. His cousin wanted to taina that the settlement should stay in Yerushalayim. Our koilel that we support should stay in Yerushalayim. These are not. And the Rashab said the atmosphere is better in Chevron. But his cousin was taining that the Babroiski was taining that Yerushalayim is more holy. You have to stay in Yerushalayim. So he said, Emes is more holy, but the atmosphere overweighs. And not only that, the Poel Mamish, because the Kedusha, there's a lot of things which are inappropriate going on there, it ruins the Kedusha to a certain extent. So therefore, Chevron, you can get more out of Chevron than the Kedusha. Then he goes on to hold very interesting, you see in Siv Zayin, he brings a Toisus. Toisus over there in that Gemara, when the Gemara says when the husband and wife have a disagreement where to live, and who oimer lalis v'hi ein roitza, he wants to go to so she doesn't want, then he can give her a get without a ksuba because he's in the right that she should come with him. And the opposite, if she wants to go, he doesn't, then he has to give her a get and give her a ksuba because she's in the right. You have to go to Eretz Yisrael, and in Eretz Yisrael itself, go to Yerushalayim. So it brings over here from Toisves v'hi oimer beinu chayim da'achshav ein mitzvah l'adav Eretz Yisrael. A very fascinating Toisves, and all the achroinim struggle to understand different pshat and what this Toisus means. So Rabbeinu Chaim said, when we shine him, there's no mitzvah now to go live in Eretz Yisrael. Why? Ki yishkama mitzvahs atluyis ba'aretz. There are many mitzvahs that are dependent on the land. Shemitah, Yovel, Shemitah, Maisvis, Arla, Kama Einshim, and many punishments that one can get. Since we cannot be careful, so we can't. It's not a mitzvah for us to live in Eretz Yisrael. So what does that mean? Because it's no longer a mitzvah anymore because you can't be careful. What exactly does this Rabbeinu Chaim mean? Well, this Rabbeinu Chaim seems to be saying that this Gemara that says he's paskening. The Gemara which says that a husband can force the wife to come with him to Eretz Yisrael if she doesn't want, he can let her go without a ksuba. Not applicable anymore because it's not anymore a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael. He can't anymore do that to her. Not anymore a mitzvah. So the shaila is, why don't we learn the halachas? They didn't know the halachas, so they can't be careful. Is that just like it's not clear what he was saying exactly? What's the reason why we're not going to be able to keep the mitzvahs? People didn't know the dinim yet. It wasn't enough of a yishuv. What was exactly the reason? Well, the poel you have from the Balei HaToisim, it says this whole thing that you're saying that we have to go to Yerushalayim, we're not allowed to leave Yerushalayim. I'm telling you, even if you're right that there's a chiyuv, al pi halacha you're allowed to leave for Torah purposes. So in Chevron, if you could learn better, you go to Chevron, just like you're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael to go to Chutz La'aretz. So for sure you're allowed to go to Chevron. But I want to tell you that even the very yisoid that you lay down, that it's a chiyuv to go to Eretz Yisrael, And in Eretz Yisrael, Gufat Yerushalayim, Lav Dafke. One of the Rishonim clearly says it's not a mitzvah anymore. It's not a mitzvah.
Rabbi Yoel Satmer, and in the beginning of the story, said, "You over and Aloyses." He brings the pasuk.
He was very involved with this Tosis.
Yeah, he brings the pasuk.
He liked this Tosis a lot.
He brings the pasuk from Tanakh that you should stay in bubble till I take you out.
These Gemaras and Ksubas and the ending over here, he was a very big bucky in it. His whole life he was haraving on these sugis.
Why, you want people to stay in Bava?
That's what it says in
like
Tanakh. He
it, so
brought
it's
it
like
as
it's
pasuk from
You have
Tanakh.
it wrong.
They should stay in bubble until I bring you
You have
out.
it wrong.
So
You
I
have
bring
it
you
wrong.
back.
He loved Eretz Yisrael so much.
Yeah,
he
but
didn't like the Tzion.
He went to visit Eretz Yisrael.
He went to visit. Yeah.
You have it wrong. Eretz Yisrael itself he loved. He just didn't like the Tzion.
I had a schut to have the bracha from him. I kissed his hand. Of your terem.
He definitely meant well. He definitely was a.
Yeah. And everything
He was
that
very
said
ehrlich
now
and he
we
meant
see
well.
where he came
We don't
from.
hold to that shita. It's not our shita. But he definitely.
He
He wasn't doing it for political
was
reasons or
right, though,
anything.
with
The Satmar Rebbe wasn't a politician. He took on the most extreme views that if you want to be a politician, you don't take those views on, you know?
Yeah.
You
He
know,
lost a lot of money and funding for these views that he had. Although
But he was
Klal Yisrael didn't
Alex.
accept
He did
this
it right.
mahalach. We didn't accept. It wasn't accepted this mahalach. But he held very strongly.
you know, when I saw him, I was having a mincha with him, a few people, and then he gave me a bracha, and then I took his hand and I kissed him. So he told me, I like the Sephardim way, how they respect their Rabbanim. That's what he told me.
He spoke to you in Yiddish.
Ah, in English.
In English, he spoke to you in English. Yeah, I remember because he spoke to you in Yiddish.
No, broken English.
He put on
I had
my
a
film
broken
by the
English
bar
too.
mitzvah.
Yeah.
My father took me to put on my film. Yeah.
So I had the schut to meet the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Satmar Rebbe.
It says when he became a citizen, when he became a citizen, the guy asked him if you know which pictures and $20. He said, I'm sorry, but we have only 100.
That's real or a joke?
Nah, that's a joke.
He was talking to Ishamis, and
he
his sheet there was a whole different sheet.
We gotta go to Maaloh. Let's take a look at the ending.
But he was right.
Let's take a look at the ending of the long pilpul. He goes on to discuss the sheet of Rabbeinu Chaim. Well, it takes for a long discussion.
What page? Kasach?
Kuf Ayin Test, the second to last page, I think.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Second to last page. Now,
Neged halacha. Wow.
let's take a look in the middle of the page. You see it says Mikol Umikol.
Anolel.
Umikol Haniskalel. From all of the above, Ani Mesupik Ma'oid, I am very uncertain. Mashakatsa Bakun, this that my cousin, the Rabreiske, wrote in his contrast. Vidvar Rabbeinu Eliyahu Yosef Zal. Regarding this guy in Rabbi Yosef, that he went to Yerushalayim and he didn't want to leave Yerushalayim and he's not sure he was allowed to go to Chevron anymore. And he wrote to the Baal Tanya, his Rebbe, and he told him you're not allowed to leave, which his cousin was using as a right. You're not allowed to move out of Yerushalayim, the Yishuv. So he said, after I wrote this whole pilpul, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me that my Zayd, the Alter Rebbe, would paskin that you're not allowed to leave. That story is hard for me to believe. There's nothing to discuss. You're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael. If you're allowed to leave for learning, for teaching, if you're sure allowed to leave. And the Ola Yosef was going to Chevron, was sent to Chevron by the Alter Rebbe in order to. He went there. He went there later on, but he went there in order to teach him Chevron, to become their Rav. So for sure he would be allowed to leave Yerushalayim to go to Chevron. Befrat will be brought earlier from the Baal HaToises of Rabbeinu Chaim. That there's no mitzvah. This whole din that you're not allowed to leave Yerushalayim, and that you can force to go to Eretz Yisrael and to Yerushalayim, that whole Gemara is not applicable today. It's not applicable. Kopanim in the times of the Rebbe Rashab, maybe today we'll say that we do know Baki Medinim and it's a whole different matzav. I'm saying in the times of the Rebbe Rashab wrote this letter in 1907. At that time period, you have Rabbeinu Chaim. But Sirif Torah combined with the fact that you're going for purposes of Torah, there's nothing to discuss. So to say a story that he didn't want to leave to go and come to Rav and Chevron, it's hard. He doesn't want to say it's not true, but he says it's a big suffix by me. So we can't rely on the story. A story only goes so far. If it doesn't make sense, al pi halacha, the Alter Rebbe and his Talmud, the Rebbe Yosef Rivlin, who wrote the Sefer Ola Yosef, was a big goin. They weren't going to go against such simple dinner. So from the Rebbe Rashab's perspective, there's no problem. In the ending of his kuntres, you write that David HaMelech and his Beis Din left Chevron, they went to Yerushalayim. They didn't go the opposite. They went from Chevron to Yerushalayim, not Yerushalayim to Chevron. David was 7 years in Chevron, then he went to Yerushalayim. You want to move us back. It's saying the Babreisker.
I had a first cousin whose wife is in Yerushalayim, and she refuses to move out of Yerushalayim, even though it was easier. Her husband got a job, he the head of the department at Tel Aviv University. She said, "You commute." And he said, "I'm not leaving."
Did they get divorced?
They're not religious. They're not religious. They're anti-religious.
Are they still married? Are they still?
They're anti-religious, but she doesn't. She's mamish zafruma. She's amisa fruma.
Yeah.
Wow.
My father was a bocher in Yerushalayim teaching in the yeshiva, and the Rebbe sent a letter to Ephraim Paul. Leave Yerushalayim and go teaching Fachamad.
Now, again, about the situation today, it could be different, the whole matter of Yisrael. Now, Lamaise, he goes on to say that he goes to explain, according to Kabbalah and Chassidus, why did David HaMelech, Adrabeh, from what you brought from Chevron is V'mi Arai the opposite. First you have to go to Chevron, and then you go to Yerushalayim. First you go to Chevron, and you have to be there to get the Madrega of Chevron. We have to reach the Madrega of Chevron. When we ultimately get the Ruchnistik and Madrega of Chevron, then later on we'll eventually go to Yerushalayim. But we need to first reach the Madrega of Chevron.
Igeres said we are staying with the fathers, with Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov.
Like this is the Shabbos, they all go to bed.
Yeah, this is when they brought it
The ending he brings that many Gedolim, a Meiser Rav, in the ending of the letter, Meiser Rav, that many Gedolim left Yerushalayim to go to Chevron, including the Chidah, famous the Chidah, also left the Chevron. So obviously it's because these Tzaddikim found a certain Kedusha in Chevron that they felt they were not able to find Yerushalayim. And Mefrat B'zman Hazeh, we see what's going on in the ground in Yerushalayim. Practically speaking, it's definitely better to... By the way, in the middle over here, it's important to note, he says, the only heter he's giving to leave Yerushalayim is for those that want to go to Chevron, because they want to learn better. But those that want to go out of Yerushalayim because they want to live like the Goyim, that they doesn't give any heter for them to leave. Because maybe someone who wants more Kedusha, so this lady's right, she doesn't want to leave Yerushalayim. She's gerecht. If she's not leaving for Torah, then a business you're allowed to leave.
Yerushalayim is so different than all of Eretz Yisrael.
Apartment in Yerushalayim compared to apartment in Chevron is 4 times more, not 3, 4 times more.
I would think it's even more. Who wants to live in Chevron? No one's running to live in Chevron.
The problem is there's no room for the Jews in Chevron.
The thing is, the Chevron is they have such few spots there that it could be that every spot is.
You can't live there. There's no room.
One of the things that I didn't read it inside, but he says that this person had you have to see what years, because there's the Mandelbaum gate.
Next to the cave,
our Anikel of Mandelbaum once came to Yom Israel in Hurricane 75, still an active lawyer from he wrote a book, Asaradas Yerushalayim. So he spoke with Shalosh Shundas, and he explained there was like 100 or 200 years where Ashkenazim, the Goyim did not let Ashkenazim in Yerushalayim, only Sfardim. And he explained why, and the whole thing is very interesting. And only like in 1802 was his Mandelbaum's great-great-grandfather, Shlomo Zalman Sarif, got a lawyer, Turkish lawyer, and he was able to, because it had to do with chayvis and.
Very interesting.
And so there was a thing where the guy
So
where
it's
the guy
Maduri,
said there was
been
6,000 Svarashim. So that's everything is cool, but no one from Eastern Europe could come. It did the whole history. So I'm saying it might have a thing on this argument a little bit, depending on what year. I mean, in other words, it's not a raya that there was able to be an Ashkenazi.
No, it's 1802.
The fact that there's a Spanish yeshiva, they didn't let the Ashkenazim, the Goyim, the Turkish Goyim.
They even claimed Ashkenazim are not the real Jews.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. They say because Ashkenaz is one of the children of Yafes, right?
There was you're saying crazy. There's a Metzias, there was a Yid came from Russia and he took a lot of money loans and he didn't pay back, so the Turks said we don't want him and his Chol HaMayim to come here. And these Yid, they were here, then okay, they didn't bother us. And then there's the whole thing with a law. It's called Asar Daras Yerushalayim, his book. But he came, he spoke here once. It's very nice.
1966, after the 6-Day War,
Yeah.
the Rebbe sent money and asked to buy the whole property behind the Koisel.
Yeah.
With the Yeshiva's Palat Yosef, everything.
Yeah.
So Koil Chabad bought over there a small house. You see,
I saw that. I know where.
It says Koil Chabad.
Yeah.
But the Rebbe is asking from the right to the left, the whole thing.
The whole
to buy.
area.
They say who need it? It's only Arab places. The Rebbe say you're gonna need it a lot. They say now. So what? When Palat Yosef over there bought it, today it's like $150 million. This big yeshiva. And for nothing.
Okay, but wait,
very small thing.
but it's in the hands of Jews now, right?
Yeah.
Baruch
Could have
Hashem.
I think they're Chabad. There's a soup kitchen there.
I mean, but Baruch Hashem, it's in the hands of the Yidden. It's not the Arabs. The Yidden have.
There's still a few Arabs living there that didn't want
Alex
to
Sharon want to buy a house right there. He bought a house.
You can, even if you
cannot live it.
And what? They can't?
Across the street in the corner. When you're coming down from there.
And what about it?
He bought a house
Yeah.
when he was a minister.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to live there.
Who is this? Who?
Alex Sharon.
No, but he did live there.
He has a house in the Muslim
They
quarter.
tell me that he lived
Then what happened?
What happened?
Why did he leave?
Where?
Why did he leave the house?
He has the class didn't want to see that minister coming to live right there in next to the kotel.
They never
Like
paid
he's
that.
taking the spanker, yeah.
So
He can live there.
They told him no.
He lived there for a while.
He has a house.
But then they told him to get out.
I saw the house.
I thought you should know because in Turkish law, after 100 years, he said in 1802 they got a right to Ashkenazim to come back to Yerushalayim because it is that's what he thinks. I'm saying he's the right that Spanish. It's not a right. Ashkenazim.
These guys, I saw a video on it.
This is nobody
These guys
touched.
saying Ashkenazim bringing from the Bible
Like
to
4-3, we
prove
didn't drink.
that Ashkenazim are not real Jews. Where in the Bible? What?
No,
Because
this
it
is
said
Goya.
the children of Yafes,
Two
one
cups,
of them is called
cups.
Ashkenaz. They're called Ashkenaz. They come from the children of Yafes. They're crazy.
Oh, that's Goya. That's Goya.
Yeah. They're anti-Semite. They want to prove that we're not the real children of Israel.
Hij maakt hem verbrandt zoals
Oh, man. Basically, what's his name? Yael is supposed to go. Minion? One second, he's a chiyuv. You chiyuv? He's over there. One second, there's a chiyuv here.
Go over.
Oh, you davened already? Okay, then go. No chiyuv here? He's a chiyuv, but you davened already. Okay, you davened already, so go. Sorry.
Adino Yeshua Melech Hanevim Kenu, Adino Yeshua Melech Hanevim Kenu, Adino Yeshua Melech Hanevim Kenu. Yizgada Shmei Rabo. Yom Divrei Chus v'Yamos Malchus v'Yatz Macht Konen V'Kol Meshiche.